Hi everybody, welcome to my workshop. And today I'm going to be making three very different bowls, but from three identical pieces of wood. So I'm starting off with wood that's 8 inches in diameter, 3 inches deep, all made from native Irish sycamore. But I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about design, and I'm going to choose three different shapes, but with three different mounting methods. So I have one bowl that's got a tenon that remains as a foot. I've got another bowl with a recess, and then I have another bowl here that's got a foot, tenon, that gets turned away at the end. So we'll take a closer look at the benefits at each different mounting method, and also talk a little bit about rim design. So let's dive in and take a closer look. The first bowl I'm going to look at today is this closed form bowl. This is a shape I really like, and it just feels like it belongs in my hands. So if you take a look at the rim for a second, the rim turns inwards, and that works really well when you're holding it with your hands because it just fits the shape of your thumb as it sits over the top of it. It's great for use with popcorn or peanuts, so when you're scooping the food from the inside, it falls right into the palm of your hands. The base size on this bowl is roughly about 1/3 of the overall width, so that's going to be the base from here to here. That tenon gets turned away, and then I have that little detail, that little step here on the side with a little concave curve here, and then a convex curve all the way around the bowl. The widest point on this bowl is about 1/3 of the way down from the rim there. And I suppose one of the disadvantages of using a tenon is that you're losing that 1/4 of an inch from your depth. And if you're paying a lot of money for dry blanks, you really don't want to lose that wood. And that's where a recess could work out in your favor. But a recess really does require a little bit of a larger base or else a smaller chuck. Either way, smaller chuck, you're going to lose with vibration. A larger base, in my view, with this shape bowl, you're going to lose with the design. But a tenon for me makes a lot of practical sense, especially when I'm twice turning a bowl. So if you take, for example, this one here, it's about 15 or 16 inches in diameter. It's quite a large piece. And then if I turn it over, you can see, I suppose, first of all, I've end sealed the bowl. It's not very attractive. It's just heavy rough cuts in getting my rough shape. But what I'm more focusing on here is the tenon on the bottom. So the tenon has moved quite a bit. In that direction, it's about 4.5 inches. And in this direction, it's exactly 4 inches. So it's moved 1/2 inch, obviously, as it started to dry out. The good thing about this is that I have a smaller chuck now. So to remount that, I just make the tenon smaller, get it back into a circle again, get it back on the lathe, and then just turn it away at the end. So it's no big deal. And because I'm working primarily with wet wood, I can decide exactly where to make the cut with the chainsaw and how much waste will be in the tenon at the bottom. So let's dive in. We'll get this piece mounted on the lathe, and what I've done is I've just drilled a little hole on my pillar drill there, and I'm going to fit it on the screw chuck. So I've decided to use a screw chuck rather than faceplate. It's just really fast for this mounting process. The screw is a little bit long to start with on the Vic Mark chuck, so I've added this little 3/4 inch spacer there just to shorten that, and we'll just make sure that's up good and tight there. So I'll just push it in using the hand wheel to feed it on, and just before I get to the end, just give it a quick lock up. That's good and tight, and now we're ready to turn it. The first thing I'm going to do here is just through up the outside, and then I'm going to start working out the proportions for the shape that I'm looking for in this piece. So speed, it's up around 1000 RPM, lathe's not shaking, no vibration, so I'm ready to go. I'm starting with the GL4, which is the 5/8 inch bull gouge, and I'm just going to make a cut from the right hand side to the left, throwing that up. I'm just going to come in the other side, take off a little bit there, stop it from chipping out. I'm not that worried about this being perfectly flat. However, I don't want any torn grain at this point, because on the widest point of this bowl, I'm going to lose some wood when it comes to trying to take that torn grain away later on with a finer, sharper tool. So looking at that, that's not bad. Next thing I'm going to just start to think about is the tenon. So the tenon depth is 3/16. It's quite shallow. And then this little concave curve at the bottom is about the same depth, about 3/16 as well. So first thing I'm going to do is just mark for the diameter of the chuck. And when I'm using the chuck, quite often I'm working with the chuck when it's down in a perfect circle. So the jaws are not touching here. There's about the thickness of a calipers here. But you have to remember, when these are made in the factory, they're turned in a circle in that dimension, and then they're split with a saw afterwards in the cross. So it's not a perfect circle when those jaws are meeting. But I'm going to take a measurement from the inside of the jaw, roughly about 3/16 down. So from here all the way across to the other side. And these chucks are made by Vicmark. It's called the VM100, and just let me tell you the size of these jaws to start with. So just under 3 inches in diameter when it's in the perfect circle. And that's on the, obviously, the outside measurement that I'm taking there. So I've already set up these tenon incisors here. Let me just unscrew that for a second. So this is a tenon incisor that lives on my tailstock. That second pointer is set up exactly for that set of jaws on the inside dimension for cutting the tenon. And I was able to adjust these and then put in a series of washers so that I get exactly the right position for those pointers when it's set for the chuck in a perfect circle. So that lives on the tailstock center all the time. So we'll just put that over there out of the way and lock it up. And what I'll do for a moment is just bring that tailstock in, and normally I just eyeball it, but to make it a little bit easier for you to see what's going on, let me just bring that tenon incisor around there for a moment, and I'm just going to put the pencil to the outside of that pointer. So let's just mark that there. That's a little oversized, but I'd rather have a little extra at this stage. Take that out of the way, and now we'll just remove the material to just get the tenon out of the way to start with. I'm not going to shape the tenon at the beginning. I'll just roughly shape it, but I'll come back with the tool with the right angle on it a little later on. So making cuts in from the side, it'll peel away the wood very, very quickly and easily. So I'll stop about there. Left hand is pushing down as my hip brings the handle away, pivoting into the wood. Stop on the pencil line, and now just draw the tool towards myself, and I'm standing right foot forward to make this cut as easy as possible. Okay, that's my tenon roughly shaped. And what I'm going to do now next is start to work out the proportions for this bowl. So if I get the ruler here, and let's have a look at this one overhead for a second. So the widest point on this bowl is roughly about 1/3 of the way down from the rim. So we've got 1/3 to that point, obviously 2/3 to the base of the bowl, not including the tenon. So let's mark that out. So now we have 1 inch at the top, 2 inches at the bottom, and now we're going to start shaping the bowl.